The Employees' Compensation Act 1923, as amended through Ec Amendment Act 2017. 4a. Compensation to be paid when due and penalty for default. 1. Compensation under Section 4 shall be paid as soon as it falls due. 2. In cases where the employer does not accept the liability for compensation to the extent claimed, he shall be bound to make provisional payment based on the extent of liability which he accepts, and such payment shall be deposited with the commissioner or made to the employee, as the case may be, without prejudice to the right of the employee to make any further claim. 3. Where any employer is in default in paying the compensation due under this Act within 1 month from the date it fell due, the commissioner shall a. Direct that the employer shall, in addition to the amount of the arrears, pay simple interest thereon at the rate of 12% per annum or at such higher rate not exceeding the maximum of the lending rates of any scheduled bank as may be specified by the central government, by notification in the official gazette on the amount due, and b. If, in his opinion, there is no justification for the delay, direct that the employer shall, in addition to the amount of the arrears and interest thereon, pay a further sum not exceeding 50% of such amount by way of penalty, provided that an order for the payment of penalty shall not be passed under Clause b, without giving a reasonable opportunity to the employer to show cause why it should not be passed. Explanation. For the purposes of this subsection, scheduled bank means a bank for the time being included in the second schedule to the Reserve Bank of India Act 1934, 2 of 1934. 3a. The interest and the penalty payable under subsection 3 shall be paid to the employee or his dependent, as the case may be. 5. Method of calculating wages. In this Act and for the purposes thereof the expression monthly wages means the amount of wages deemed to be payable for a month's service, whether the wages are payable by the month or by whatever other period or at piece rates, and calculated as follows, namely: a. Where the employee has, during a continuous period of not less than 12 months immediately preceding the accident, been in the service of the employer who is liable to pay compensation, the monthly wages of the employee shall be 1/12 of the total wages which have fallen due for payment to him by the employer in the last 12 months of that period. B. Where the whole of the continuous period of service immediately preceding the accident during which the employee was in the service of the employer who is liable to pay the compensation was less than 1 month, the monthly wages of the employee shall be the average monthly amount which, during the 12 months immediately preceding the accident, was being earned by an employee employed on the same work by the same employer, or, if there was no employee so employed, by an employee employed on similar work in the same locality. C. In other cases including cases in which it is not possible for want of necessary information to calculate the monthly wages under Clause B, the monthly wages shall be 30 times the total wages earned in respect of the last continuous period of service immediately preceding the accident from the employer who is liable to pay compensation, divided by the number of days comprising such period. Explanation. A period of service shall, for the purposes of this section, be deemed to be continuous which has not been interrupted by a period of absence from work exceeding 14 days. 2. Omitted by Act 15 of 1933. 6. Review. 1. Any half-monthly payment payable under this Act, either under an agreement between the parties or under the order of a commissioner, may be reviewed by the commissioner, on the application either of the employer or of the employee accompanied by the certificate of a qualified medical practitioner that there has been a change in the condition of the workman or, subject to rules made under this Act, on application made without such certificate. 2. Any half-monthly payment may, on review under this section, subject to the provisions of this Act, be continued, increased, decreased or ended, or if the accident is found to have resulted in permanent disablement, be converted to the lump sum to which the workman is entitled less any amount which he has already received by way of half-monthly payments. 7. Commutation of half-monthly payments. Any right to receive half-monthly payments may, by agreement between the parties or, if the parties cannot agree and the payments have been continued for not less than 6 months, on the application of either party to the commissioner, be redeemed by the payment of a lump sum of such amount as may be agreed to by the parties or determined by the commissioner, as the case may be.